Hello again. We are continuing our world tour and learning what all of our friends all over the world might eat on a typical day. Now, let's remember where we're at. We go over it every lesson so that you understand how fun and important these lessons are. So this isn't just a bunch of random information thrown together. I really want you to understand what your food is, where it comes from, what real food is and what not real food is, and know all of the things that you need to know to be able to have fun with your food, learn about other cultures and people, and to keep yourself healthy and thrive. So, first, we go over what food is, what it isn't, where it comes from. It comes from plants and animals, why geography matters and weather matters. Where you can get your food from growing it yourself to buying it at the supermarket. We go all over the world and look at the most important things about real food are what plant staples are, what protein staples are, what dairy staples are. These things form the basis for all food all over the world. And this food is there and abundant and given to us, and we need to use it to thrive and not change it so much that it doesn't resemble food anymore, and just have fun with it too. So that's what these lessons are for, is to have fun with it and to go all over the world and really think past our neighborhood and past our school and past our city and even past our own country, and think about what our friends in other countries are having for breakfast, what they might have for a snack later in the day, what they might eat for dessert, all that kind of thing. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go to the exotic continent of Africa and see what a typical day of eating in a magical world where we could fly all over Africa in a day, see what that might look like. So, in Africa, we have 54 countries. Let's look at our map. And so we can get an idea in our minds of where Africa is. Let's identify North America. Put your finger on North America. Maybe if you have a parent nearby, they can help you with that. Go south to South America. Go across the sign that says "Food brings people together." That's the Atlantic Ocean, and we'll go over to Europe. We spent some time in Europe, and now we're going to go straight south, down over the Mediterranean Sea into the big continent of Africa. Now, Africa is just as diverse as any other continent, maybe even more so. There's 54 countries in Africa. That's more than any of the other continents that we've looked at so far. And there's lots and lots of different varieties and foods there. So we're going to go to a couple countries, look at a few different fun foods that I thought you might find interesting. And we're going to start with what breakfast might look like. So here I'm showing you for breakfast, your day might begin with something called Mandazi. Okay, this is a type of African donut. It's popular in countries like Kenya. We looked at Kenya before. Do you remember the flag? Yeah. Tanzania is another African country that it's popular in, and Uganda. So, and other countries as well. This is a very traditional African breakfast called mandazi. Mandazi, say it, mandazi. Cool. Cool word. They're sweet, they're fluffy, and they're spiced again with cardamom. Again, I can't explain that spice to you. If you have cardamom in the house, ask your mom or dad. You might have it in the house. Go smell it. Maybe make something with it in pillar 3 when we're cooking. When we're pulling all this together to cook for ourselves, we will experiment with cardamom, an amazing spice. You see it a lot in Indian food and a lot in African food. So, and they might be spiced with coconut as well. So, kind of a take on donuts, kind of African take on donuts, and it's a fun, sweet way to start the day in Africa. All right. For lunch, you might see something called Maafe. This is a stew. It's with a peanut sauce. It's a hearty stew made with meat and vegetables usually, and it's cooked in like a tasty peanut sauce. So kind of like chicken tikka masala was made in a tomato cream sauce. Maafe is made in a peanut sauce, and it's very exotic tasting to me, because peanut sauce is not something that I normally eat in the United States of America. It might be more common in Asia, maybe Thailand. They have some peanut sauces in Thai cuisine. But here in Africa, this is a very typical dish, this mafe, this stew made with this peanut sauce. It's very popular in West African countries. So West is closer back towards North and South America. In West African countries like Senegal, Mali, Nigeria, and countries like that, it's served all over the continent, though. It's usually served with rice, as you see here in the picture, or couscous, which is another plant staple, just like rice. It's kind of a grain, just like rice, a little bit more round. We'll play around with couscous later when we're cooking as well, and we're cooking some African foods. So it's a great meal, and you might find this at lunch in Africa. So for dinner, I'm showing you the Ethiopian injera flatbread, sour flatbread. Again, it's kind of a spongy, sour flatbread that's placed on a big tray, eaten family style, really friendly. And it's served with wat, something called wat, which are little stews and salads that are served on the bread. No utensils. You tear off a piece of the bread and dip it in the stews, dip it in the salads, or pick up the salads with your hands, with your bread, and you eat that way. A really communal, friendly, interesting, fun way to eat. So that's injera. If we flew over to Ethiopia, that's a very typical dinner that you might find in Africa, in Ethiopia. All right, for a snack, we're going to go up to Egypt now. This is falafel, which is deep fried balls of beans and chickpeas. So remember that chickpeas are garbanzo beans, and they are very common in the Middle East, and they're used to make hummus. They're also used here to make these falafels. So they're deep fried. They're little balls made of ground chickpeas or fava beans, which is like a white bean, also common in southern Europe, right there by just right over the Mediterranean Ocean. You have Egypt in North Africa, and then you have Italy in South Europe, in the southern part of Europe, and in between is the Mediterranean. So some of the foods in the Mediterranean region really overlap. And fava beans, they're a white bean, are one of those foods that overlap. So we've got chickpeas and fava beans, and they mix them together and they grind them up with some uh, usually some kind of a grain, and then they deep fry them, and they're crispy on the outside, they're soft on the inside, they're full of flavor. All Middle Eastern cuisine is full of flavor, and they're called falafel, and they are very common all over the Middle East, including Egypt in northern Africa. So for dessert, you might find in south. We're gonna go way south now from Egypt down to the very, very, very tip of Africa, to South Africa, and you'll find a dish that's popular there called koksista. Cooksista. Cooksista, I think is the way you say it. And this is a very popular sweet, sticky, braided pastry that's deep fried and soaked in syrup. So it kind of reminds us of the breakfast of Mandazi, but it's made a little bit differently. It kind of reminds me of gulab jamun from India, because it's soaked in the syrup. It's going to have a little bit different taste than the gulab jamun, which has kind of a rose water taste. But it's a sweet treat. It's a perfect way to end any meal. And so you might find that in South Africa as a dessert. So that's Africa. That's a little bit of a taste of what you might find in Africa, some look at what some of these foods look like, and just start to think when you're having your dessert of ice cream in the United States, maybe your South African friends are having koeksista, or maybe your Ethiopian friends are having injera with wat, or maybe your friends in Western Africa are having maafe, a peanut stew. So all kinds of different cool foods. We're going to cook all this kind of stuff. I love international flavors. I love international cultures. I love all people of the world. We're going to do a lot of international cooking in Pillar 3. So stick with me. We're going to have lots of fun. All right. We're going to head over to Asia next. So I will see you there.